Hare Krishna. Just give me, please. Why is not this getting bigger today? Okay, that's good. Now it's working. So thank you all for joining this morning. She will go to class and attentive japa will make a start. And we have been talking about King Parcinabarhi. We're on part 3 now. It's amazing advice that Narada Muni is giving to Parcinabarhi. And Narada Muni always comes to the rescue. In a previous canto, he helped Dhruv Maharaj when he was in confusion. He helped him to attain perfection. And now similarly, King Parcinabarhi, he's a little bit lost as well. He's lost in Maya. So Narada Muni is always there for the rescue, and now he's helping him. So it's so wonderful. And we are also in Maya. We are in, I find myself, and you are in Mishra Bhakti. Sometimes we are attracted to Maya, sometimes we are attracted to Krishna. On a cross section, if you're attracted to Krishna and you're attracted to Maya, means you are in Mishra Bhakti. If you just attracted to Krishna, then you're pure devotee. If you just attracted to Maya, then you're materialist. So it's as simple as that. So let's continue. So the most powerful Lord Brahma, the father of all progenitors, Lord Shiva, Manu, Daksh, and the other rulers of humankind, the 4 saintly first-class brahmacharis headed by Sanak and Sanatan, the great sages Marichi, Atri, Angira, Pulastya, Pulaha, Kratu, Brigu, and Vashishta, and my humble self Narad, are all stalwart Brahmins who can speak authoritatively on Vedic literature. We are very powerful because of austerities, meditation, and education. Nonetheless, even after inquiring about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whom we always see, we don't know perfectly about him. So Narada Muni is explaining to King Parcinabarhi that nobody can know the Lord completely because he's unlimited. Who can know something that is unlimited? Despite the cultivation of Vedic knowledge, which is unlimited, and the worship of different demigods by the symptoms of Vedic mantras, demigod worship does not help one to understand the supreme powerful personality of Godhead. So let's pray. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mukham Kroti Vachalam Pangum Lam Yate Girim Jat Kirpatam Ham Bande Shri Guru Din Taranam Ram Ananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tassat Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiriyat Nasta Prishav Abhadureshu Nityam Bhagavad Sevya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhakti Nishtaki. Hare Krishna. So when a person is fully engaged in devotional service, he is favored by the Lord who bestows his causeless mercy. At such a time, the awakened devotee gives up all material activities and ritualistic performances mentioned in the Vedas. So the Lord is awakened in one's mind if one constantly thinks of him. A pure devotee is always thinking of the lotus feet of the Lord. Savai Manha Krishna Pad Arvindo. A pure devotee cannot remain a moment without being absorbed in thoughts of Supreme Personality Godhead. Because he's pure, that's his only attraction, is Krishna, not Maya. A pure devotee can remain a moment without being absorbed in thoughts of the Supreme Personality Godhead. This constant thinking of the Lord is called or described in Bhagavad-Gita as Satata Yuktanam, always engaging in the Lord's service. Bhajtam Priti Purvakam. This is devotion service in love and affection. And then what does the Lord say? Because the Supreme Person of Godhead dictates the pure devotee from within, the devotee is saved from all material activities. Even the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies are considered material activities because by such activities one is simply elevated to other planetary systems. The residential abode of the demigods, Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita 9.125. So Krishna explains that just by doing all these yagyas for elevation, all you're doing is yanti deva vrata devan pitran yanti pitr vrataha bhutani yanti bhutajya yanti mad yajino pimam. So those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. Those who worship ancestors go to the ancestors, and those who worship me will live with me. It's just straightforward. So all paths don't lead to the same destination as is believed by people, that no matter what you do, it's the same, the goal is same. All paths do not lead to the same. Whoever you worship, that's where you will end up. That will be your destination. Everybody does not end in Krishna Lok if they are worship the Pithers, your ancestors, or you're worshipping the demigods or ghosts and ghouls. Where if whoever you're worshipping, that is your destination, their planet, that's where you will go. The general populace is engaged in material activities. And when people are a little advanced, they become attracted by the ritualistic ceremonies mentioned in the Vedas. However, when one is frustrated in the performance of these ritualistic ceremonies, he again comes to material activities. In this way, both the followers of the Vedic rituals and the followers of material activities are entangled in conditional life. These people get the seed of devotional service only by the goodwill of the Guru and Krishna. This is confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. So when one is engaged in devotional service, he is no longer attracted to material activities. When a man is covered by different designations, he cannot engage in devotional service. One has to become freed from such designative activities. Sarvapadi vinirmuktam. And become pure in order to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead through purified senses. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Uchate. The service of the Lord through purified senses is called Bhakti Yoga or devotional service. So you can see that Srila Prabhupada in his commentary, in his report, he's explaining what you need to do, or what Narada is explaining to King Parcinabarhi. At the same time, Srila Prabhupada is giving us the verses and the sources where this information is written, where it's found. It's not some mundane knowledge or his own concoction that he's telling. This is mentioned in the Shastras, so it's Shastric information. My dear King Barishman, so he has different names. You should never, out of ignorance, take to the Vedic rituals or to fruitive activity. So this is what he's engrossed in at the moment. So now he's trying to bring him out, that please don't do this, which may be pleasing to hear about, or which may appear to be the goal of self-interest. You should never take these to be the ultimate goal of life. The temporary comforts of life experienced either on this planet or on the other planets are all to be taken as illusory, because they do not touch the real purpose of life. The real purpose of life is to go back home, back to Godhead. Ignorant of the real purpose of life, people take to either gross materialistic activities or ritualistic activities. King Barishman is herein requesting not to be attached to such activities. In the Vedas, it is stated that the performance of sacrifice is the actual purpose of life. A section of the Indian population known as the Arya Samajists laid too much stress on the sacrificial portion of the Vedas. This verse indicates, however, that such sacrifices are to be taken as illusory. Actually, the aim of human life should be God realization or Krishna consciousness. The Vedic performances are, of course, very glittering and pleasing to hear about, but they do not serve the real purpose of life. So there's something for everyone in the Vedas. Now, there's all this flowery language, or as Prabhupada mentions here, glittering and pleasing information in the Vedas. But they're just there to get you to be attracted to the Vedas, to the information. But soon you'll find that these things are not the goal. They are waste of time, waste of life, waste of opportunity. So then you will try to move on a bit more, try to find out a bit more that, so if this is not the goal, then what is the actual goal? And it's all there in the Vedas. Vedas, they just give you other information to attract you because you might not be ready for the hard sell, right? We're not ready for the hard sell straight away. So there's the soft sell. And once you get used to the soft sell, then you're introduced to the hard sell, which is going back home to Godhead, chanting, austerity, etc., etc. Those who are less intelligent accept the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies as all in all. They do not know the purpose of the Vedas is to understand one's own home, where the Supreme Personality of Godhead lives. Not being interested in the real home, they are illusioned and search after other homes. Generally, people are not aware of their interest in life to return home back to Godhead. People do not know about the real home in the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, there are many Vaikuntha planets, and the topmost planet is Krishna Lord, Goloka Vrindavan. Despite the so-called advancement of civilization, there is no information of the Vaikuntha lokas. The spiritual planets, at the present moment, so-called advanced civilized men are trying to go to other planets, but they do not know that even if they go to the highest planetary systems, Brahmalok, they have to come back again to this planet. This is confirmed in Bhagavad-Gita 8.16. Abram Bhuvan Loka Punar Avartino Arjuna Mam Opteatu Konteya Punar Janmana Vidyate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death takes place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. So the material world, whether it's this planet or Brahmalok, they're all places of misery. Or even Svarglok, they're all places of misery. And they're all temporary. So you have once your credits run out, you'll come back again to rather than the Mritulok, but you come back to this world again, to planet Earth. And just thinking about it, the bodies in the higher planets are more subtle. The body gets more and more subtle as we go higher and higher in the planets. So you're thinking, okay, this here we have a very gross body and it's full of disease. There's always something going on wrong in our body. So if the body is subtle and more subtle and subtler as you go up, then where is the question of disease in the body? Well, I'm thinking about it. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, the body is subtle. There might not be bodily disease, but our mind is subtle as well. Mind is subtle here on this planet, but there's so many mental problems, right? So the mental problems will exist whether we are in this world or we are in Brahmlok. he cannot get away from the mental issues. And you see that mental issues with Indra, and even Brahma has mental issues at times. Everybody has mental issues. You can't escape mental disease. Might escape bodily disease, because your body is a lot more subtle than here. But mental disease, I think you cannot escape. This is what I see from here. That if there is stress and problems in the higher planets, and the body is quite subtle, and his mental loss so many yugas in those planets, so the problem must be in the mind, right? The problem, that's where you get the problems. So let's continue. My dear king, the entire world is covered with the sharp points of kusha grass, and on the strength of this you have become proud. You have killed various types of animals in sacrifices. Because of your foolishness, you do not know that devotional service is the only way one can please the Supreme Personality Godhead. You cannot understand this fact. Your only activities should be to those that can please the Personality of Godhead. Our education should be such that we can become elevated in Krishna consciousness. So in this verse, the great sage Narada Muni directly insults the king because he was engaged in performing sacrifices that entailed the killing of a great number of animals. The king was thinking that he was great for having performed so many sacrifices, but the great sage Narada directly chastises him, informing him that his animal killing only leads to his being puffed up with false prestige. Actually, anything that is done which does not lead to Krishna consciousness is a sinful activity. And any education that does not lead one to understand Krishna is false education. If Krishna consciousness is missing, one is simply engaged in false activity and false educational pursuits. So Shri Hari, the Supreme Personal Godhead, is the super soul and guide of all living entities who have accepted material bodies within this material world. He is the supreme controller of all material activities and material nature. He is our best friend, and everyone should take shelter at his lotus feet. In doing so, one's life will be auspicious. So in Bhagavad-Gita 1861, he said, Ishvara sarva bhutanam hirde deshe arjuna tishtati. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjun. The living entities within the body and the super soul, the Supreme Personality Godhead, is also there. He is called Antaryami and Cheta Guru. As Lord Krishna states in Bhagavad-Gita 15:15, he is controlling everything. Sarvasya cham hirdi sanvishto mata samriti jnana apanam cha. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So what are we doing? It's either the Lord or material nature. They're controlling everything. We're really not doing anything. And yet we think we are the controllers and the proprietors of everything. But we really don't have much control, to be honest. Everything controlled by either the super soul or material nature. Everything is being directed by super soul within the body. Therefore, the better part of Bala is to take his direction and be happy. To take his directions, one needs to be a devotee. And this is confirmed. Tesham Sthita Yuktanam, this is what we talked about earlier. Tesham Sthita Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam. Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena Mam Upiyanti Te. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Although the super soul is in everyone's heart, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hirde Desha Arjuna Tishtati, he talks only to the pure devotees who constantly engage in his service. So we had a Prabhu who came, what's Prabhu's name? And we had, I think you all know, he was here recently. He, Shubhalas Prabhu, and asked him a question that if super soul is in the heart and he sanctions everything, why and he's our well-wisher, then why would he sanction, our bad thoughts or bad desires? And if he's our well-wisher, he's like a parent, then he should be telling us off, he should be guiding us. And his response was that first we have to accept the super soul as our parent, as our well-wisher. If we don't accept him, then he cannot talk to us. He's there waiting for us to turn around and speak to him and acknowledge him. But we have to make the move. We have to accept him. We have to accept his presence. We have to accept his authority. We have to accept his advice and accept him as a parent and a well-wisher. Once we do that, then the Dami Buddhi Yogam Tam, he will give you that yoga, Buddhi Yoga, to do the right thing. Otherwise, he just watches, he's just an observer, otherwise, of our activities and our thoughts. So he leaves it to us, okay, you do what you want. But if you go to him, then he'll give you right advice. One who is engaged in devotional service has not the least fear in material existence. This is because the Supreme Personality Godhead is a super soul and friend of everyone. One who knows this secret is actually educated, and one thus educated can become the spiritual master of the world. One who is in an actual bona fide spiritual master, representative of Krishna, is not different from Krishna. The great sage Narada continued, "O great personality, I have replied properly about all that you have asked me. Now hear another narration that is accepted by a saintly person and is very confidential." So, and we'll leave it here because Narad Muni is giving so much advice to the king, and he continues to give advice. Maybe we'll have a look at another time next week, a bit more, because this is very interesting and is very useful to us. And it's direct advice to us because we are also lost in Maya. We might not be doing so many yajnas and everything, but we have a similar issue. So we have to understand now what is the correct path to take if you want to achieve perfection. So thank you all so much for joining. Ishani Mataji, Prem Prakash Prabhu, Praveen Mataji, and Sarvashri Mataji. I'm not too sure. Did anybody else was there?
There's an iPhone and Venkat Prabhu, I think.
Were there? Okay. That's fine. And thank you to them for joining. We'd love to hear from your side as well. We'll start with the Ishani Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. I was telling Prabhu ki I couldn't understand anything today, and you called Ishani. So I wouldn't like to contribute anything, Prabhuji. I would like to listen today because there was some distraction, so I couldn't listen properly, and I don't have much in mind. So please carry on with other devotees.
That's fine. Yeah, it's basically Narad Muni explained to King Parcinabarhi. He's from the dynasty of Maharaj Prithu, and his sons, the Pachetas, have gone for 10,000 years of austerity, but he's so lost in fruity activities. He's doing so many yajnas to promote himself, elevate himself to the higher planets, and he has forgotten the real goal of life. And he's very capable, he's a lot of potential, he's dedicated, but he has forgotten the real goal, which is to go back home. And Narad Muni is explaining to him, he's giving examples to him that, look, if you are, first of all, you're killing animals unnecessarily and you accumulating sin, because some animals are brought back, others are not brought back. So whatever you're doing, it's cruelty, you're just killing unnecessarily. And even if you do achieve what you're trying to achieve, you will only end up in the higher planets, which are in the material world, and you'll come back here again. So you wasted this opportunity. So he's trying to bring him to his senses so he can go back home. Thank you, Mataji. Praveen Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Dandavat Pranam to everyone.
Yeah, I'll start with the last thing you said, mentioned about from Vilas Prabhu. You know, we have to accept Super Soul as our father, because I keep telling everybody we got soul and Super Soul, but I haven't really actually surrendered. So although we know he's there, so I think that's the first thing I will do today, to surrender for guidance and everything. So we do realize that, you know, we always get you know, the guidance, but I don't think I have fully surrendered. And then, like you mentioned, like Narad Muni telling Parcinabarhi that nobody can know God because he's unlimited. So we think like with little bit of devotion, you know, we can know Krishna, but we have to work very hard. And all the shlokas that I mentioned there, we need to really learn them and, you know, try to understand every word. Krishna, he's telling us, Aham Sarvasya Prabhu, you know, so just worship me. And, you know, I can't exactly remember the, you know, the translation. Yeah, who perfectly knows and engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their heart, because he's the source of yeah, everything emanates from me. So Krishna is like telling us again and again in all the shlokas. And then the other one you mentioned was Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam. So when we are engaged in devotional service, there are two side effects. You know, our senses are purified and we are freed from the material entanglement. That's what we need to serve the Lord. And you also mentioned like all places, even the higher planets, are places of misery apart from Krishna's abode. So we know the goal, which way we need to go. And also you mentioned like all paths don't lead to same destination. But then like I don't know whether it's the right time or right place to say, you know, like Amog Leela Prabhu, he's been in trouble, which we think is really unfair, because he did not say anything wrong, like what I think. So he actually, that's how we all believe. So I don't know if somebody is in touch, so we need to tell him that we all support him. So we don't want him, we know Krishna will be looking after him. So yeah, so the answer is to, you know, to get out of all this misery, devotional service, we have to surrender to Krishna and surrender to Super Soul to guide us. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mother. Yes, surrender is important. Surrender starts with the accepting things favorable and rejecting things unfavorable to our bhakti, and then you sort of continue from there. So I think we are probably in that stage, all of us, that we still try to accept and not accept things, and it's a long process. Thank you, Motherji. Prem Kash Prabhu. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, so that's really amazing, Prabhuji. I mean, people who are involved in Karm Kandi, so they keep on doing whatever they want to do. Nobody interferes, not even Super Soul, because they know that there is a process laid out by Krishna as a Varna Ashrama Dharma, basically, and then they keep on, they can keep on doing whatever they want to do. Only by the mercy of a spiritual master, only by the mercy of the devotees, they come to the realization that they have to actually worship the Supreme Lord, Krishna, in that sense. And Krishna only inspires the super soul, I mean, his devotees as through super souls to go and interact with that. By the inspiration of Narad Muni, Narad Muni saw that the sons are such a good devotees, they are going to be big, they're going to get mercy of Krishna and Lord Krishna. And then he approached his father, Parcinabarhi, to make sure that he understands the purpose as well. And then he actually gave various examples to educate. So this is very nice thing. I mean, it's very difficult for people to understand things, but one good lesson is that one should be always respectable to Vaishnavas and ready to take instructions from them. Had Parcinabarhi was not very respectful to Narad Muni, and not ready to take instructions, he wouldn't have been benefited. So this is one very good quality. If we don't have any quality, at least one, we should have this quality to take instructions from elevated Vaishnavas, whatever they say. It's also okay to actually present uh, our doubts in front of them, not to content, but to understand further. So that is, these two qualities were present with Parcinabarhi, and he accepted the instructions of Narada Muni. By doing Karma Kanda, it's also very important to understand that any mistake done to animal sacrifice, the animal is not revived, and that particular is created as sin, and one has to suffer. The repercussions of that means that if animal was killed, in future life, animal will kill the person itself. Although there might be benefits of attaining higher planets, but one can't escape the repercussions of the same. So it comes with like pros and cons, and one has to accept and suffer or enjoy both of them. And the other important thing which I actually couldn't understand completely is that all the super, which you gave example of Shubhala's Prabhu, that super soul is there, but one has to establish super soul in our heart, in their heart. I understand it a bit differently. The way I understand is that we, all the souls, were currently part and parcel of Krishna, but actually they are originally part of Krishna, and they are supposed to go back to Krishna and in here, but in when they're part with Krishna, they had desire to enjoy without Krishna, and Krishna actually granted the wish, and people came to this material world to enjoy without being supervised by Krishna somehow. But like a good parent, he also created rules and regulation and various authorizing and monitoring authorities to actually take whatever it is there. Its example is that a rich man appoints like child, child sitter, babysitters in full faith. And although the child is trying to do anything, it all goes through the babysitters to permit whether they will allow them to do or not. But it's always under the supervision of Krishna. So by saying so, if person has desire to kill someone, somehow or other, if he have enough karmic reactions or karmic things to actually achieve that, he would be able to kill that. He will be able to kill or actually demonstrate or satisfy his need or desire to kill in somehow, if Krishna permits, obviously. But this is all chain reaction, and this material world is created to actually fulfill the desire of the soul. And once the soul goes through different actions, reactions, and the things, and finally surrenders to Krishna, that he doesn't want anything more than what he really wants is Krishna, Krishna takes him away. So all the reactions, and karma he actually incurring and desires he's developing makes him to stay in this material world. And since this material world is to facilitate these desires to enjoy without Krishna or do something, these are all asat. That means like whatever is being done is going to stay in this material world. It's not going to come to the spiritual world once he is liberated or actually surrenders to Krishna. The example is of Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksh. They killed so many devotees. They tortured so many devotees, but still when they actually serve the curse, they actually return back to Godhead as Jay and Vijay, restore their original position. So whatever we do, we might actually see from the perspective is that why good is happening or why good is not, but it's because of our previous desire and karmas that what we are incurred, we are suffering. The way to get out of it is to realize by the mercy of elevated Vaishnavas, understanding like Guru Maharaj, that just taking shelter of Guru Maharaj as a representative of Krishna, being frustrated with the material desire, whatever we having, whether it's good or bad, we suffer as a mercy of Krishna, and then we just go out of the material world. That realization is very important, and that would only come when we are actually associating with devotees. That wouldn't just happen by by our will, but that will happen by the mercy of Krishna. So obviously, that's what my understanding is, Prabhuji. I leave it to you. I mean, if you have some different understanding, but I just wanted to share what my understanding was on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivek. Yeah, we're just going by what Shupras Prabhu, and it did make a lot of sense to a lot of people. We can't stop desiring. It's not possible to stop desiring. We just have to change our desires. Which is done to us, to start changing our desire by purifying ourselves first of all, and detaching ourselves from material life. Then our desires will change, and also associating with the right people. Because we associate with the good devotees, then our desires become like their desires. Suddenly we want to do kirtan, we want to give class, we want to go to this program, that program. The desires change. It's not that we stop desiring, our desires change. So we're going to have good desires by association. That helps us, obviously. And Prabhu says that Krishna will help you more. He mentions that he helps everyone, but he has a special spot for his devotees. So if you are worshiping him directly, then he has more time and makes more effort for you. This, although he's equal to everyone, but for his devotees, he has special attention. So we do think we love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah. One very quick thing, Prabhuji. In the material world, one has to get reaction. Whether one has to suffer or enjoy his karmic reaction, he has to do karma to actually suffer. But one very great thing about spiritual world is to enjoy or to serve. There is no concept of suffering, but to enjoy or to serve, one has to desire. And by desire, the service comes. And that is, I mean, when service pleases Krishna, the soul gets completely pleased and happy. So that is a difference between spiritual world and material world. Material world works with the karma or actions or reactions. I mean, one has to work. Nothing happens just by desiring in material world. But in the spiritual world, if we just make our desire perfect enough, anya abhilashita shunyam gyan karmadi anavritam. That means leaving rest all desire. If we can just desire for Krishna, whatever knowledge is there and whatever karmic reactions are there, whatever we have done, leaving everything else, just desiring for Krishna, that will be success. That will be success in the life, basically. So that's what it is there. Just trying to put that. There's a small difference between material world and spiritual world.
Sure.
Material activity and spiritual activity.
Let's get spiritual. Yeah, that's what we're all aiming for. Thank you, Babaji. Haribol. Sarvashya Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
I mean, very nice class. And then it's explained, like Lord Krishna explained in Bhagavad-Gita, that this world is full of misery, ashashvatam, and like temporary and full of misery. And the same thing Narada Muni is telling Parcinabarhi king, that it's always because we get miseries are because of the attachment to a material life, women, children, and even wealth and home, everything. We never satisfied. Whatever we get, if we get satisfied, then we get into Krishna, but we never get satisfied. We want more and more. The more and more, then we'll be coming up and down. And even if you do a little bit punya, you go to heavenly planets or Satalok, but still Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita, Brahma Bhulok Tetam Bhukta Sarlokam Vishanam Chinamita Lok Vishanti. That after do your pious activities, then you'll enjoy your life there. After enjoying your life, you can't stop there permanent. You have to come down. And that may be the only way we can go to, you will leave this miserable world, miserable body, is to do devotional service to Krishna, and then we will be free from birth and death and old age and disease. And it is I mean, when you're young, you don't feel so much, but when you get old, then you know what is old and what is disease and what is suffering. So this world is full of suffering. Very suffering is here every day. People dying or something happening. If you're not old, people are dying when they're young. But so this world is not good for us. I mean, we shouldn't be living in this world. Krishna says that it's not our place to live. So we should try to, because we've forgotten why we enjoy. When we enjoy ourselves, we forget Krishna, and that's why we suffer. So that's why we mustn't forget Krishna. We do devotional service, get association with devotees, and read the books. That's how you get the knowledge. Without that, just saying I want to go to Krishna, you can't unless you know, you learn about it, you know reality about it, and then you can leave this material world with so misery, and it's temporary. Everything is temporary in this world. Even if you go on holiday, anything, I mean, you enjoy so much, but it's all temporary. You have to come back to your own place, and any kind of enjoyment is temporary here, but enjoyment in Krishna Lok is eternal. You enjoy it, never finishes. You always enjoy it, but here everything is temporary. So what we do, we get association with devotees, read the book, and pray to Krishna. Prayer is because we can't do anything, so we have to pray to Krishna to help us in our devotional service. Without the mercy of Krishna, Guru, and senior devotees, you can't go to Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mataji, for the great advice. Let's do a couple of rounds now. Good enough time. So, Swashi Mataji, you would like to start the first round, and Praveen Mataji do the next round. Hare Krishna.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna